Hello everyone and welcome to the solution for the first daily challenges that's part of the July daily challenges which is a Code Vita theme. So for those of you who don't know, we are running a daily challenges based on the Code Vita theme, and these are the rules. You can check out all of the rules and what are the benefits of these daily challenges in the link below. We have already shared an introduction to that, but basically every day 10:30 a.m. a new challenge opens up. It's completely free of cost. Anybody can go and try this out, and you can sign up here in the given link, which I will go to in just a bit. The other thing is, if you are not at all able to crack any of the challenges, it's probably you need to learn more about Code Vita and get better prepared for it. So you can sign up for the Edest Code Vita course in the link given here, and you can also use the early bird offer, which has been extended because the Code Vita deadline also got extended. So we've extended this early bird offer. Please go and check it out. All right. For more details, you can just check the video below, which gives the introduction to the daily challenges anyways. So today we'll be covering the first daily challenge question, which is actually asked in Code Vita 2019. It's called ODI score, for which we have named it as power outage, but the original name you could find it as ODI score. So the question name is power outage. We are going to cover that one today. And if you want to look up the wording and you want to look up whether this question came or not, you can just go and look at this question called ODI score. All right. So I'm just going to go to the daily challenges over here. Let me just open it up. Right, 1 second. Yeah, so here it is. If I click start coding now, I am directed here, and this is the first challenge. And if I open up the first challenge, this is what I get to see. This is the page that opens up for me. I hope everybody can see this. All right. So I would suggest everybody read the question in your own time and then come and watch this video. But I'll just summarize the question a little bit for all of you. What's basically happened is, we know that somebody is watching TV. You can read all this English, but somebody is watching TV, and till the particular point of time, they kind of know the score. They only remember the particular score at that the particular score at that time. Actually, not even the score at that time. They remember only the run rate till that time. So they know something as the first run rate, that is at the time when the TV got shut off, what was the run rate, and they know that the striker and the runner, what are the scores of those. So for those of you who have not ever seen cricket, first I would just suggest go and read the rules of cricket, watch some highlights, and then come here. Those of you who've seen cricket, which is most of you, you'll be able to understand. So basically, what happens is, a timeline between these two, when somebody was watching and they got a run rate and they got the scorer of, they basically got the striker score and the non-striker score. At that time the power ran off, and I'll just show you an example input. So for example, I knew that the run rate was 9, and then at that point, let's say, I don't know, Sachin and Sehwag were playing. One had 21 runs, another had 13 runs, and then we have this, the power went off, right? After that, these bunch of deliveries happened, which we came to know much later on. Okay, that is, these deliveries happened, and we came to know later on that these are the deliveries that have happened in that power outage. And after those deliveries, we come to realize that the new run rate is this 8.3182. Okay, so what we have to do is now tell what is the total score of the team at this point at which the power has come back, that is at the end of this these deliveries, to how much the striker has scored and how much the non-striker has scored. First of all, it need not even be the same striker, because if, let's say, you get a wicket at some point, right? So then one of these batsmen will go away. So to get another batsman, you will have that person could start with a 0, right? So for example, if you just calculate this, I'll show you how to calculate it. But basically, just by this information, we can say that the total runs at the end of this delivery here, at the end of, like, the number of deliveries we missed was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 20 deliveries were missed. So before the 20 deliveries, the run rate was 9. Sachin was on 21. Sehwag was on 13. After the end of it, we see that we have currently whoever's the striker, so it has to be Sehwag, because Sachin was already on 21. So Sachin has now 34, Sehwag has 20 runs, and the total number of runs scored by the entire team is 122. which also shows you that probably this is not Sachin and Sehwag because they would have been opening. 122 means somebody else opened, but you get the point. I'm not trying to be this thing factually correct. I'm just trying to say that in this 20 periods, before this some wickets could have gone. We don't really know. We don't really care for this question as such, but rather what we care is that we have these 20 deliveries. At the end of these deliveries, whoever is currently at the crease, the striker who's at the crease right now is 20 runs, and the runner who's at the crease right now has 34 runs, and the total runs is 122. Whereas if you look at the same thing, but at the end, if let's say if you just look at the same amount of deliveries, but at the end it's like W, which is wicket happened, which means that currently the person at the striker, because probably the person who got out was at the striker's end, and so that person is 0, and the person who's at the crease is still 34 points, and the total run scored is still 122, because instead of a duck over here, instead of a dot ball over here, we got a wicket over here, right? So yeah, it requires some familiarity with the rules of cricket, so I am assuming almost everybody over here has that. So how do we go about solving this, right? How do we go about solving this question? Just to give you perspective, this is the first question of last year's Code Beta. Many of the people got this as the first question, which already shows you that you need to think a little bit, but if you got the formula, then it won't really matter too much. Okay, so let me open up some of the things that we know and what we don't know, right? So what we know is the initial run rate, the batsman 1 and batsman 2 score, basically who's on strike and who's not on strike. So I can actually say current striker and non-striker's score. For the D deliveries, we have the brief run by run timeline. Now, how many deliveries D is not given to us as an input. So that deliveries length we have to take and see that how many deliveries were there, right? And we got the final run rate. And to make our life easier, the question already says that there will be no ball, there will be no leg buys, there will be no wide, there is no buy runs as such, and you will not have any free hits or any of that as well, right? So if somebody scores a 4 or 6, it is by a boundary itself, right? Even if it's by runs, it doesn't matter to us. But that's how it is. There's no extra runs given anywhere, so such that any run scored will accrue to a striker, right? Or yeah, exactly, the striker, right? It won't go off somewhere else. Okay, so that's one. And so this is what we have to output, that is the total score at the end of it, the score of the current striker and the score of the current non-striker. So now those of you who are watching this for the first time, have not even seen the challenge, I would highly suggest you actually pause here, go and try to attempt it, and then come back, because it's not a difficult question as such, so that you should actually take the time to try and attempt the question. For those of you who really tried, scratched your brains, not able to figure out, the major problem that everybody faces is how do I get the initial run? Because to get the initial run, what I need to do is I need the initial ball numbers and the initial runs. I need both of them. The reason for that is to know the final score, I need to know the initial score. Because if I know that, let's say 20 runs were scored in these deliveries, I can just add that to my final score, right? So to my initial score to get the final score. Or if I know the number of, if I know what you could say, the initial number of balls, then I know the after 20 deliveries how many balls were there, and then through that also I can get the final score using the run rate, or I can just simply just add the amount of score that I have to the initial score. In any case, I need the initial score because I want the final score. So that's number one. Number two, what I need is the initial balls, because if I don't know which ball we are on currently, I don't know how to rotate the strike. Okay, so for example, I could be on the 5th ball of an over, and you take one single, right, and another single. So at the 6th ball, we anyways have to rotate the strike, right? So depending on that, I can switch the striker and the non-striker, right? So it's very crucial for us to know the initial balls, because actually to get the final runs of a striker or non-striker won't be too difficult if we know which ball it is on right now, because every single the strike changes and the person who will get the runs for that single is also going to change. So I hope that made sense. Again, assuming everybody knows a little bit of cricket over here, right? So the question boils down to how do I find the initial balls and runs? Because if I find the initial balls and runs, it's very simple to play out the runs going forward, right? So if I get a single, give let's say Sachin gets a single, Sachin gets that one run, but now Sehwag is on strike. So the next run, so let's say if it's 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, 6 runs, all comes to Sehwag, and depending on the runs played, it's either gone back to Sachin or it's still Sehwag's strike, right? So I need to know which ball we are on, so that at the end of the over I can change the strike as well. Okay, I hope you've understood that part. So how do I find the initial balls and runs? Well, this you can actually form through two equations, and if you look at it, let me just go through these equations. So you have these equations over here, which is the run rate. One second. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, here we go. So a run rate is categorized like this, which is total runs by total overs, right? It's not the total balls; it's actually total overs, and the total overs is actually total balls by 6, because there are 6 balls in an over, and you'll get this equation here, 6 into R by B, right? So I would actually call this as this is first one, right? So it's actually going to be 6 into R1 by B1, right? So where 1 denotes that initially, before, like when the power went out, right, and the starting of the D deliveries. So we have 6 R1 by B1 is the initial run rate. What's in the next thing? The next thing we have is the run rate 2, which is there have been R deliveries, so, or rather in D, right? So you can actually call this as D, not even B, but in those D deliveries, how many runs were scored? And that's not too difficult for anybody to get actually, if you look at it. If you look at it like this, if I go back, so it's very easy for us to calculate here how many runs were scored in this period, right? Obviously just sum up the entire thing, and if there's a wicket, then we don't count that, we count that as 0. So sum up this entire thing, you'll get how many runs were scored in this period, and how many balls were scored, how many balls were bowled. Again, we know exactly because there have been D deliveries, right? And if we count here, there were 20 deliveries completely. So both of these values are known to us, that is small r and small b values are known to us. R1 and B1 values we don't know, but RR1 and RR2 values we know. This is given in the question. So run rate 1 and run rate 2 values we know. R1 and B1 we don't know, and yeah, here also R1 and B1 we don't know. So if you just summarize all of this, what I get is run rate 1 is equal to this, run rate 2 is equal to this. Now we have two equations with two variables, right? So solving this is not too difficult. In fact, you can just take your pen and paper and solve it. One of the simple ways to do that is you can say B1 is equal to 6 into R1 by RR1, right? And then substitute that B1 value over here. You will get a value for, you will get an equation for R1. Similarly, you will get, you can then substitute that R1 value into the B1 equation, right? Simple way of solving two equations. Write it out on your pen and paper, and you'll get an equation for this. And when you substitute the values for run rate 1, 6, 6 is 6 only obviously, R1, B1 we want to find out, and then R and B being 20 and 20 in this question over here, right? So if I just go back to the question, we get here that it's, I believe it's 20 runs. So it's, for example, 5 runs scored here, 6, 11, plus what, how much is this? Yeah, 9. So that's 20. So 20 runs scored in 20 balls. So if I just substitute those values over here as well, what I'll get is, one second. Yeah. So what I'll get is RR1 is equal to 6 into R1 by B1. Great. RR2 is equal to 6 into R1 plus 20 by B1 plus 20. Now here the R and B are same, but that may not always be the case. So like in 20 deliveries, I could have scored 40 runs, 50 runs also, right? We never know. So but yeah, you will get two equations in this. There is a slight chance that those two equations are actually the same equation, but since the question doesn't mention that, then that won't happen, right? And if you didn't understand that, you can leave it for now, come back to it later. But if you solve this question, it will suffice for this question. If you solve this equation, it will suffice for this question. That is, you will be able to get the initial R and initial B. If you get the initial R and B, which is R1 and B1, then we are all set, right? How are we all set? Well, what we have is, we have the R1 and B1, right? So we have the R1 and the B1 values. That is initially how much is there, and more importantly, how many balls have been scored. So we can come to know that currently which ball are we on right now. Are we on the third ball, fourth ball, fifth ball, sixth ball, so on. We come to know that, right? So we know who is on strike and how many balls are left for each delivery. So now if the next delivery is a wicket, then it's out. And 1 second. Hold on. Yeah, just so that you can all see. Yep. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can all read what's on the page, the slide right now. Yeah. Yeah. So we have, as per this, we have R1 and B1. And sorry, so if it's W, then we know who got out currently. If it's yeah, so we know that. get the new striker and make that person as a 0 score. So what you will also need to do actually, just above this, let me just put that also here, is we have R1 and B1, declare an array or list of 11 batsmen, right? So declare that, and initially we don't, like at max we'll have 11. Let's assume that the striker and the non-striker currently are the openers. They could very well not be the openers also, we don't mind that, but what is the worst case scenario? That they both are the openers. So initially whatever is the score of the striker and the non-striker gets stored as the 0th and 1th index. So you have B0 and you have B1. Let these be the batsman scores. Then we know who's on strike and how many balls are left, which is great. So this is striker, non-striker, right? If the delivery is a wicket, so then we know that we have to get a new striker with 0 score. So for example, if 0 was on strike, then a new striker comes in with 2, right? And they are currently on strike. If 1 was on strike, then 2 comes in, but 2 is currently on strike, 0 is the runner, right? So you have to keep track of that. If the delivery is not a wicket, which means that somebody has scored something, update the striker score. So it could be a 1 run, 2 run, 3 run, 4 run, 5 run, whatever it is, but update the current striker score, because all of those runs get counted for the current striker. If the delivery had odd runs, right? So for example, it was a single or 3 runs or 5 runs also. 5 runs is possible. It's very rare, but it's possible. Many of you missed the 5 runs part when you were trying to solve this. So you have to switch the striker and the runner. So you have to interchange the striker and runner indexes, right? And if it's the end of the over, again switch the striker and runner, right? So let's say somebody could have scored a 6, like let's say Sachin is on strike, he scored a 6. So Sachin now goes at the runner's end and Sehwag comes to the striker's end because the over has finished. However, if Sachin took a single at the end of the over, then what happens is, first of all, Sachin gets that 1 run. He switched the strike, and also we again switch the strike because Sachin is now supposed to start with this over at the striker ends, right? So that's the other edge case that you have to check. So if you do it in exactly this order, that is, if it's a wicket, if it's not a wicket, then do this. If it's odd runs, then switch, and if it's the end of the over, then again switch. If you do all of this, then they all get updated properly. So the final score is not R1 plus 1, but rather the final score is R1. It's R1 plus whatever was the R we have scored during this period. So the final score is R1 plus small r. And the striker and runner scores are as per who is on the crease currently. So just look at who is currently at your crease. It could just happen that the last one is a wicket, so you will also get a striker and a striker with 0 runs as well, right? And also the best part is, I forgot to mention, the question also says that all of the outs will be bold. None of them will be like a catch where somebody crossed during the run or a run out. None of that actually happens, right? So you have the striker and runner scores as per who is on the crease currently, right? Yeah, so if you implement all of this, if you implement these conditions, so it's basically, can I find the solution using these formulas? And the second thing that we are supposed to do is, based on those formulas, find the initial state, and then on those states keep moving back and forth, right? So that's how you would go about solving it. If you want the exact code and the full code for it, I suggest you go to the Edist platform. Again, it's freely available. So if you go to the Edist platform, this is what you get, right? And you can go to the hints, and while I've unlocked it, you will have to get some points to unlock it. So you will sacrifice about 14 points. It's a 15-point question. You'll sacrifice that many points, but you'll get the solution. And if I paste that solution, I just want to show you that that solution works. Yeah, so I'll just paste that solution, and if you run it, your test case is passed, and submitting all the solutions passed as well, right? So that's what you get on your run and submit, and that's the question that's there. All right, 1 second. Yep, and so I have completed this, but only with 1 point, because I actually saw the solution and did it, right? If you didn't see the solution and you did it yourself, you'll get 15 points. So yeah, congratulations to today's top achievers. These are the top achievers for today. So I think the first one to solve it was Shravani. So really congrats to Shravani, and the leaderboard will get heated up now, but congrats to the top 5 who are there right now, who've done really well. and we'll get more and more such challenges. So I hope everybody signed up on the platform right now and enjoying the daily challenges. Just a reminder, every day 10:30 a.m. is when a new challenge comes up. First to crack the challenge is on the top of the leaderboard. So do keep trying and signing up, and subscribe to this channel for more updates on such Code Beta questions and also on the daily challenges. Thanks everybody for joining. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, obviously. And if you have any doubts, put it on the comments or put it on the forums on the Edis platform, and we'll help you out over there as well. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.